Elias Ward did not expect his life to change because of a roommate assignment. When the Galactic Cooperative announced the Human Cultural Integration Program, Elias had applied without much thought. He was a systems analyst, quiet by nature, more comfortable with machines than crowds. Sharing living space with an alien sounded awkward, but manageable. The program promised better housing, stable pay, and fewer questions about why he preferred silence. The approval came faster than expected. 2 weeks later, Elias stood outside an apartment complex, floating just above the silver-blue surface of Kepler Station. The building curved like a seashell, grown rather than constructed, its walls faintly glowing as if breathing. He adjusted the strap of his bag and checked the address again. Unit 7L. His roommate would arrive today. He had read the file. Her name was Lyris. Species: Virelian. Physiology: non-hostile, emotionally regulated dual cardiac system. Notes warned that Virelians valued structure, predictability, and personal space. Emotional expression was considered inefficient. Elias nodded to himself. That was fine. He liked quiet. He liked rules. The door opened automatically as he approached. Inside, the apartment was clean, minimalist, and oddly warm. Light panels adjusted to his presence, softening from sterile white to a gentle amber. Elias placed his bag down and moved slowly, careful not to touch anything unfamiliar. A faint sound came from the far room, not footsteps, something lighter, a hum, almost musical. Then he saw her. Lyris stood near the window, tall and slender, her skin a soft shade of pale violet that reflected the station lights. Her eyes were large, dark, and unblinking, with faint rings of silver around the pupils. Thin markings traced her temples and neck like natural patterns, not decoration. She turned toward him, with precise movement. Human Elias Ward, she said. Her voice was smooth, controlled, without accent.
You arrived within the expected time range?
Yes, Elias said quickly.
He. I'm Elias, she observed him in silence, her gaze steady, measuring. Elias felt suddenly aware of his posture, his breathing, the way his hands rested awkwardly at his sides. I am Lyris, she said. This living arrangement has been approved under cooperative standards. I will follow all shared residence protocols.
That's good, Elias replied. I will too.
Another pause, not uncomfortable, just empty. She gestured toward a section of the apartment. Your assigned space is there. Boundaries have been marked. I will not enter without consent. Same here, Elias said. I don't need much. Just let me know if I do something wrong. Lyris tilted her head slightly.
Define wrong. Elias thought for a moment.
Something that bothers you.
She considered this carefully. I am rarely bothered. That sounded like a challenge, but Elias only smiled a little. Then I guess we'll get along. For the first few days, they barely spoke. Elias followed routines. He woke early, worked long hours at the station's systems hub, and returned home quietly. Myra spent much of her time studying or communicating with her species representatives through holographic interfaces. When they crossed paths, they exchanged short, polite acknowledgments. The apartment remained calm, balanced, until the fifth night. Elias was preparing a simple meal when he noticed Lyris standing very still near the doorway. Her posture was rigid, her hands pressed lightly against her chest. Her breathing was shallow. Hey, he said gently. Are you okay? She did not respond immediately. Her eyes were unfocused, directed inward. My internal monitoring systems indicate an anomaly, she said finally. Elias turned off the heat and stepped back.
Do you need medical help?
No, she said. I am not injured. Then what's wrong? Lyris looked at him, and for the first time since they met, her expression was uncertain. My secondary heart has activated? Elias blinked.
Secondary heart?
Yes, she replied. It remains dormant under normal conditions. Activation occurs during extreme danger or irreversible bonding events. Oh, Elias said slowly. That sounds serious? It is, Lyris agreed. However, there is no danger present. She paused, then added, unless you are classified as one. Elias almost laughed, then stopped when he saw she was completely serious. I don't think I am, he said. I mean, I work with code, not weapons. That does not align with current data, she said. Your presence correlates directly with the activation. The room felt suddenly smaller. You're saying, Elias said carefully, your heart thing activates when I'm around? Yes. Only me? Yes. Silence settled between them, heavier than before. I should report this, Lyris said, though her voice lacked certainty. This may indicate contamination, manipulation, or unknown human influence. Elias nodded, if that's what protocol says. She did not move. Instead, she said, remain where you are. Elias froze, hands half raised. Okay? She stepped closer, slowly, watching the readings projected faintly above her wrist. As the distance between them closed, her breathing steadied, attention in her shoulders eased. Her secondary heart slowed. Lyris stopped walking. Unexpected, she said quietly. Elias swallowed.
Is that good or bad? I do not know, she answered. But it is stable. Over the next week, the anomaly repeated.
Whenever Elias was near, the secondary heart activated, but gently, rhythmically, not violently. When he left the apartment, it weakened. When he returned, it stabilized again. Medical scans were ordered. Cooperative officials observed through remote systems. No toxins, no psychic manipulation, no technology involved, only proximity. Elias tried to keep things normal. He cooked extra food and left portions labeled clearly, though he did not know if Lyris ate human meals. He fixed a flickering light panel without being asked. Once, he noticed her struggling to recalibrate a tool designed for human hands and quietly adjusted the grip. Each time, Lyris's internal readings shifted, not dramatically, just enough to be noticeable. You engage in unnecessary assistance, she said one evening.
I guess, Elias replied.
It doesn't bother me. That behavior expends energy without direct benefit. Elias shrugged. Feels right. She studied him for a long moment. Your species frequently prioritizes feelings over efficiency, she said. Yeah, Elias admitted. We're not great at optimization. That may be incorrect, she said softly. One night an alert echoed through the apartment, medical priority signal. Lyris staggered slightly, gripping the wall. Her breathing was uneven. What's happening? Elias asked, rushing to her side. My heart rate is destabilizing, she said. You were absent for too long. I was only gone a few hours, Elias said. For my species, she replied. That is significant. Without thinking, Elias reached out and placed a steadying hand on her arm. Her skin was cool, smooth. The readings normalized almost instantly. Both of them froze. Lyris looked down at his hand, then back up at his face. You should not be able to do this, she said. I'm not trying to, Elias replied. I just didn't want you to fall. She did not pull away. Instead, she whispered, This reaction has never been recorded. Outside the apartment, cooperative systems flagged the event. Inside, Elias felt something shift, not fear, not excitement, but a quiet sense that something important had begun. Neither of them knew yet that this small, strange heartbeat would soon change how the galaxy understood humanity. And this was only the beginning. The cooperative did not wait long to respond. By the next morning, Elias noticed small changes in the apartment. The light panels adjusted more often. The air felt slightly cooler. Invisible sensors hummed softly, tracking movement, sound, and biological signals. They were being watched. Lyris noticed too. She stood near the central console, her expression calm, but her fingers moved with faint tension as data streams floated around her. "Observation level has increased," she said. "They are concerned." Elias leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "About you or me?" "Both," she replied. "But you are the unknown factor." That made Elias uncomfortable. He had never liked attention, especially the kind that came with quiet fear behind it. "I don't want to cause trouble," he said. "If this arrangement is dangerous for you—" "It is not dangerous," Lyris said quickly, then paused. "It is, unexplained." She looked at him, studying his face as if trying to solve a complex problem with too many missing pieces. "My people do not bond easily," she continued. "We regulate emotion from birth." "Our biology reflects that discipline? This reaction should not exist."
But it does, Elias said. Yes, the word carried weight.
Later that day, a message arrived from the Cooperative Medical Division. A calm, neutral voice requested that Lyris report for extended observation. Elias was not mentioned. He felt the absence immediately. The apartment felt empty without her quiet presence. The hum of the walls seemed louder. He tried to distract himself by working on his terminal, but his focus slipped again and again. Hours passed. Then the door opened. Lyris entered slowly, her posture stiff. She did not speak at first. She simply stood there, breathing too fast for someone who claimed emotional control. Elias was on his feet instantly. "Are you okay?" She nodded once, then pressed a hand to her chest. "My secondary heart entered an unstable state during separation," she said. "Medical intervention was required." Elias's stomach tightened. "I'm sorry,"
I didn't know it would be that bad. You were not informed,
she said. "That is not your fault." She moved closer, stopping a short distance away. Her breathing steadied. "The instability ceased when I returned," she added. They stood in silence. Elias finally spoke. "What did they say?" "That further testing is required," she replied. "They believe prolonged exposure to you may be altering my biology."
"Altering how?" Elias asked. Lyris hesitated.
"They do not know." That night, she did not retreat to her assigned space. She sat across from Elias at the small shared table, watching as he prepared a simple meal. He moved carefully, trying not to make sudden gestures. The thought that his presence alone could affect her felt heavy. "You don't have to stay," he said. "If you need space, my readings are more stable here," she said. That ended the discussion. Days passed, and the pattern became clear. When Elias was near, Lyris's internal systems balanced. Her thoughts felt clearer. Her body responded with calm efficiency. When he was gone for too long, strain returned. She did not understand why. Neither did the cooperative. Medical specialists ran every test allowed by interspecies law. They scanned Elias for radiation, chemical markers, unknown energy fields. Nothing unusual appeared. "He is biologically unremarkable," one report stated. Another said, "No measurable threat detected." That conclusion only made them more uneasy. Lyris began asking Elias questions. Not clinical ones, personal ones. "Why did you apply for the program?" she asked one evening. Elias thought about it. "I guess I wanted to feel useful and less alone." She considered that. Humans often seek connection even when it brings risk. "Yeah," Elias said, "we're kind of bad at avoiding that. Your species survived despite this tendency. she said. Maybe because of it, Elias replied. She did not respond, but her secondary heart gave a soft, steady signal. Another day, she asked, "Do you experience fear often?" Elias shrugged. "More than I'd like, and yet you remain functional, most of the time." She tilted her head. "You do not suppress fear." "No," he said. "We just live with it." That seemed to trouble her more than any medical anomaly. The cooperative made a decision. They ordered a controlled separation. Elias was informed gently but firmly. Elias was not given a choice. The moment the message arrived, Larissa's internal alarms flared. "Now," she said, voice tight. "This is a mistake. They think it's safer," Elias said, though he did not believe it himself. "For whom?" she asked. He did not have an answer. The separation began the next morning. Lyris was moved to a medical wing under constant supervision. Elias was relocated to temporary housing on the opposite side of the station. The first hour was tolerable, the second was not. Lyris's secondary heart accelerated erratically. Her neural regulation weakened. Medical staff intervened, confused and alarmed. Elias, meanwhile, felt a strange emptiness. Not pain, just a sense of something missing, like forgetting an important word. By the third hour, Lyris collapsed. Emergency alerts flooded the station. Doctors worked quickly, but nothing stabilized her for long. Her biology was fighting itself, searching for balance that would not come. Finally, one of the observers said the words no one wanted to say. "Bring the human back." Protocol was broken. Elias was escorted through restricted corridors, his heart pounding. He did not know what he would do when he reached her. He only knew he had to be there. The moment he entered the medical room, the monitors shifted. Lyris's breathing slowed. Her heart rhythms aligned. The secondary heart settled into a strong, steady pattern. Silence filled the room. The doctor stared. Elias stood beside the bed, unsure where to place his hands. "Lyris," he said softly. Her eyes opened. "You returned," she said. "Of course," Elias replied. "I wasn't going to stay away." Her gaze fixed on his face, intense and searching. "This connection is no longer one-sided," she said quietly. Elias frowned. "What do you mean?" "When you were absent," she said, "I experienced loss." He swallowed. I did too. The word seemed to change something. The cooperative suspended the separation order. Instead, they escalated the situation. Observers from multiple species joined the investigation. Philosophers, biologists, diplomats. Humanity was no longer just a new member species. It was a variable. Lyris was asked if she wished to continue the arrangement. She answered without hesitation. Yes. Elias was asked the same. "Yes," he said, even though fear lingered in his chest, because alongside the fear was something else. Purpose. Late that night, back in their apartment, Lyris stood beside the window, watching distant stars drift slowly past. "My people believe dependence is weakness," she said. "Humans don't," Elias replied. "We believe it's survival." She turned toward him. "My heart responds to you not as a threat," she said. "Not as an instinct, but as recognition." "Recognition of what?" Elias asked. She took a step closer. "Of safety," she said. The word echoed softly in the quiet room. Outside, the galaxy watched, and somewhere deep within its endless systems, a question began to spread. What happens when a species that evolved through chaos becomes the anchor for others? Neither Elias nor Lyris knew the answer yet, but the bond between them had crossed a line that could not be undone, and the galaxy would feel it. Next. The apartment no longer felt private. Even when the lights were soft and the walls quiet, Elias could feel the attention pressing in from outside. The cooperative said the observation level had been reduced, but that was not true. It had only changed shape. Instead of constant scanning, there were pauses. Instead of open monitoring, there were hidden checks. That was worse. Lyra sensed it too. "They are afraid," she said one evening as she stood near the central console watching encrypted signals flicker briefly before vanishing. "Fear makes them cautious. Caution makes them dangerous." Elias sat on the edge of the table, rubbing his hands together. "I don't want anyone getting hurt because of me." "This is no longer only about you," Lyris replied. "Or me." Over the past few days, reports had begun to circulate through the station. Elias did not see most of them, but Lyris did. She had access to interspecies medical networks, and once information started moving, it was difficult to stop. Other species were noticing patterns. A Kelth observer reported lower anxiety levels when assigned to human crews. A Dravic engineer requested a human partner after showing improved cognitive stability during joint work. A friend diplomat extended negotiations only when humans were present in the chamber. At first, these were dismissed as coincidence. Then, someone connected the data. The phrase began appearing in internal discussions. Human proximity effect. Elias did not like how that sounded. "It makes us sound like radiation," he said quietly when Lyris explained it. "In a way you are," she replied, "but not harmful." That was not comforting. The Cooperative Council requested a formal evaluation. This time, Elias was included. The chamber was vast, circular, filled with beings of different shapes and colors. Some floated. Some stood on mechanical supports. Others were projected as light or sound. Elias had never felt so small. He stood at the center beside Lyris. She looked calm, but Elias noticed the subtle signs now. The slight tension in her shoulders. The careful way she controlled her breathing. He stepped a little closer. Her secondary heart steadied. The observers noticed. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Human Elias Ward, do you acknowledge that your presence has caused measurable biological changes in a non-human species?" Elias swallowed. "I acknowledge that something is happening. I don't know why." Another voice followed. "Do you deny responsibility?" "I don't think it's something I'm doing on purpose," Elias said. "But I won't deny it's connected to me." That answer caused a stir. Lyris spoke next. "The human has not manipulated my biology. There is no coercion, no control, no harm. Yet you are dependent," a council member said. Lyris's eyes sharpened. "I am stabilized." Silence followed. Then a new question. Would separation cause harm? Lyris hesitated. Elias felt his chest tighten. "Yes,"
she said finally.
Extended separation would result in severe biological distress. The chamber filled with low-frequency sounds. Alien equivalents of murmurs. "That is unacceptable," one voice said. "No species should become reliant on another." Elias found his voice. "We're not trying to make anyone reliant. We didn't plan this." "But it exists," the voice replied. "And existence demands response." The council delayed its decision. That delay did not stop the rumors. Across the station, humans noticed changes in how others reacted to them. Some aliens lingered longer in conversation. Some chose seats closer to human groups. Others avoided humans completely, fear written clearly in their movements. Humanity's reputation shifted. Not conquerors, not diplomats, but something harder to define. Anchors. Lyris began to feel it too. Aliens looked at her differently now. Some with curiosity, some with envy, some with quiet alarm. "You have crossed a boundary," one Varelian representative told her during a private call. "Your condition threatens our cultural foundation." "Our foundation is control," Lyris replied. "Not health. That control preserved us, the representative said. And isolated us, Lyris answered. The call ended abruptly. That night, Lyris stood awake while Elias slept on the couch, exhausted from another long day of questioning and tests. She studied him quietly, watching the slow rise and fall of his chest. Humans slept so openly, vulnerable, unguarded. Her people would consider that dangerous. And yet her heart responded with calm. She had begun to notice changes in herself beyond biology. Thoughts came more easily. Creativity sparked where before there was only structure. She found herself asking questions without clear purpose. She wondered if that frightened her. The answer surprised her. It did not. The next incident changed everything. A transport vessel from a distant system arrived, carrying survivors of a recent disaster. Their species, the Morin, were known for fragile neural structures. Trauma often caused permanent psychological collapse. Medical teams struggled to stabilize them. One Morin patient reacted violently to standard treatment, their neural patterns spiraling toward shutdown. In desperation, a human medic stepped into the room to assist. The patient calmed almost immediately. The data was undeniable. Within hours, the cooperative issued an emergency directive. Human presence was now classified as a therapeutic variable. Elias heard about it from Lyris. "They are requesting volunteers," she said. "Human volunteers." His stomach dropped. "For what?" "To assist trauma response teams," she replied, "across multiple stations." "Huh, that sounds like a lot," Elias said. "Too much." "Yes," Lyris agreed. "And they are not asking why it works, but only that it does." Elias thought of crowded rooms, frightened beings, constant attention. He felt his chest tighten. "I don't know if I can do that," he said quietly. Lyris stepped closer. "You are not required to sacrifice yourself. But what if people need help?" Elias asked. "That is not your burden alone," she said. The cooperative disagreed. A formal request arrived. Elias was asked to participate in a pilot program. Limited duration. Heavy monitoring. Mandatory reporting. He stared at the message for a long time. "I just wanted to live quietly," he said. "You still can," Lyris replied. "You can refuse." He looked at her. "What would happen to you?" She did not answer immediately. "If human access becomes regulated," she said slowly, "my condition may be classified as unacceptable." Elias understood. They were not just studying a phenomenon anymore. They were deciding whether it should be allowed to exist. That night, Elias could not sleep. He stood at the window, watching stars slide past, each one holding worlds that did not know what humans were becoming to the galaxy. Lyris joined him. "Humans adapt," she said. "You always have." "Sometimes adaptation hurts," Elias replied.
Yes, she said.
"But stagnation kills." He looked at her, really looked at her, and realized something that unsettled him. He was no longer just worried about her safety. He was afraid of losing her. "I'll do it," he said quietly. "The pilot program." Lyris's secondary heart surged, then steadied. "You choose others over yourself," she said. "That's kind of our thing," Elias replied with a tired smile. The next day, the cooperative announced the program publicly. Across the galaxy, reactions were swift. Some species welcomed it, some demanded restrictions. Some began developing countermeasures, and some began to ask a far more dangerous question. If humans could stabilize minds and bodies simply by being present, what else could they change? As Elias prepared to leave the apartment for his first assignment, Lyris placed a hand against her chest, then gently mirrored the gesture against his. "This bond is no longer accidental," she said. "It is becoming known." Elias nodded. "That scares me." "It should," she replied. but it also means you matter. Outside the apartment, security escorts waited. Inside, something fragile and powerful held steady. The galaxy was no longer watching a strange anomaly. It was watching humanity take its next step, and not everyone would welcome it. The pilot program spread faster than anyone expected. At first, it was only a few humans assigned to medical units, then counseling centers requested them, then diplomatic stations. Each report showed the same pattern. Anxiety lowered. Panic softened. Communication improved. No technology explained it. No training caused it. It was just humans being there. That frightened many species more than any weapon ever had. Elias felt the pressure the moment he left the apartment for extended assignments. Security escorts followed him everywhere. Medical staff watched his expressions closely, as if trying to see how the effect worked. He did not feel powerful. He felt tired. The first station he was sent to housed refugees from 3 different species. Fear hung in the air like thick smoke. When Elias entered, conversations slowed. Some aliens stared, others turned away. He did nothing special. He spoke gently. He listened. He sat with those who trembled. And slowly, the fear eased. Reports praised the results. Elias hated reading them. They talked about him like a tool. Back home, Lyris felt the strain. The longer Elias was gone, the harder her body worked to stay stable. She did not collapse anymore, but the effort left her drained. Her people noticed. "You are degrading," a Vrelian official told her. "Your emotional variance exceeds acceptable limits." "I am improving," Lyris replied. "You only call it degradation because you do not understand it." That answer marked her. Some Varelians cut contact. Others watched her with concern. A few watched her with fear. Within the cooperative, debates turned sharp. One group argued that humans should be protected, limited, and allowed to choose their involvement freely. Another group argued that humans were now a strategic resource. A third group whispered something darker: containment. The proposal did not reach Elias directly, but Lyris saw it. Restricted human movement, assigned placements, mandatory service rotations, long-term separation limits placed on non-human bonds. The justification was simple. Uncontrolled influence was dangerous. When Elias returned from his 4th assignment, he found Lyris standing very still in the center of the apartment. "What's wrong?" he asked. She looked at him, and for the first time, fear was clear on her face. "They are considering regulations that would separate us permanently," she said. Elias felt the words like a blow. "They can't," he said. "We didn't do anything wrong." "That has never stopped regulation before," she replied. That night, they spoke more honestly than ever before. "I don't want to be a resource," Elias said quietly. "I don't want people deciding where I go because I make them feel better." "You are not wrong," Lyris said. "But the galaxy does not run on fairness. It runs on fear and control." "And what about you?" Elias asked. "What do you want?" She did not answer immediately. "I want choice," she said at last. "I want to decide what my heart means." The next day, the cooperative called an emergency council session. This time, Elias was not asked. He was summoned. The chamber felt colder than before. The voices sharper. "Human Elias Ward," one council member said. "Your continued involvement has accelerated interspecies dependency patterns." Elias clenched his hands. "I never asked for this." "That is irrelevant," the voice replied. "The effect exists." Another voice spoke. "We propose a controlled framework. Humans will be assigned where needed. Bonds such as yours will be limited to prevent instability." Lyris stepped forward. "You speak of instability," she said, "yet your own actions create it." Your condition is proof of risk, the voice answered. My condition is proof of connection, she said. You fear it because you cannot control it. A long pause followed. Then came the question Elias dreaded. Human Elias Ward, would you comply with regulated placement for the good of the cooperative? He looked around the chamber, at beings who saw him not as a person, but as a solution. Then he thought of Lyris, alone, monitored, slowly being erased by rules. No, he said. The word echoed. Murmurs erupted. You would endanger stability? A voice demanded. I would protect choice, Elias replied. Mine and hers. Silence returned, heavy and tense. The council recessed. Outside the chamber, security presence doubled. That night, the apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Lyris sat beside Elias, her shoulder just barely touching his. The contact steadied them both. If they force separation, she said, my people will not intervene. I won't let them take you, Elias said. This is larger than us, she replied gently. Then maybe they need to hear from us, he said. The idea formed slowly. Not protest, not threat. Truth. The next morning, Elias requested a public address. The request was denied. He tried again. Denied. Then humans across the station began speaking. Medics, engineers, diplomats, ordinary workers. They shared experiences, not data. Stories. They spoke of aliens who felt less alone, of fear easing, of trust growing. They did not claim power. They claimed responsibility. The broadcast spread. Some were shut down. Others slipped through. The galaxy listened. Pressure built. Then came the breaking point. A fringe coalition accused humans of biological manipulation. They demanded immediate suspension of all human presence in medical and diplomatic roles. A vote was scheduled. Lyris watched the notice appear on the apartment display. This decision will shape the future, she said quietly. Elias nodded. Then we should be there. The day of the vote, the chamber filled beyond capacity. When Elias and Lyris entered together, the room reacted. Readings spiked. Emotional variance shifted. The effect was visible, undeniable. You see? One voice said. This is exactly the problem. No, Lyris replied. This is the truth. She stepped forward, her voice steady, clear. My people taught me control above all things. I believed it made us strong. But control without connection is emptiness. She placed a hand against her chest. This heart was dormant my entire life. It woke not from danger, but from safety. The chamber quieted. Elias spoke next, his voice soft but firm. We're not here to fix you, or control you, or change you without consent. We're here because we care, and caring is risky, but it's also how we survive. The vote proceeded. Results appeared slowly. Suspension failed. Mandatory regulation failed. Human choice remained protected. Not everyone accepted it, but the decision stood. Back in the apartment, exhaustion settled over them like a blanket. It's not over, Lyris agreed. No, Elias agreed. But we're still here. She looked at him, something warm and steady in her eyes. My heart no longer reacts only to your presence, she said. It reacts to the future we choose. Elias smiled faintly. That sounds terrifying. Yes, she said, and wonderful. Outside, the galaxy adjusted uneasily. Fear did not vanish, but neither did hope. And for the first time, humanity was not just part of the galaxy. It was changing how the galaxy understood connection itself. Only one part remained: the aftermath. The galaxy did not change all at once. Change never did. After the vote, there were no celebrations. No grand announcements, no sudden peace. Instead, there was something quieter, slower, and far more difficult. Adjustment. Some species accepted the decision with relief. Others accepted it with resentment. A few refused to accept it at all. But the cooperative could not undo what had already been seen, measured, and felt. Human presence mattered. Elias returned to the apartment with a weight in his chest that did not fade easily. He had spoken before the council, stood against beings older and more powerful than his species, and survived. Yet now that it was over, he felt small again, Lyris noticed. "You are unsettled," she said as they stood near the window, watching the stars drift.
"I keep thinking I should feel proud," Elias said. "But I just feel tired."
"That is a human response," she replied. "You exert emotional energy freely. Recovery takes time." He smiled weakly. "Guess I'm still learning how to be part of something bigger."
You already are, she said. The pilot program continued, but it changed shape.
Humans were no longer assigned. They volunteered. Consent became the foundation. Clear limits were set. Rotations were shorter. Support systems were built, not just for non-humans, but for the humans themselves. For the first time, the cooperative treated emotional labor as something real, something costly, something valuable. Elias chose to step back, not permanently. Just for now. Others took his place.
Engineers, teachers,
Nurses. Ordinary humans who sat with frightened beings and listened without judgment. The results remained consistent. The fear across the stations slowly softened. Not vanished, softened. Lyris became a subject of study no longer. She became a voice. Her people resisted at first. Many still did. But younger Varelians began to ask questions that had never been allowed before. Why suppress emotion completely? What had they lost in the name of control? What if stability did not mean isolation? Lyris did not force answers. She shared her experience, and that was enough to begin cracks in a very old wall. One evening, as Elias repaired a flickering light panel again, Lyris watched him quietly. "You no longer look like someone waiting to be taken away," she said. Elias paused. "I didn't realize I did before." "You did," she replied. "Your shoulders were always tense." He rolled them experimentally. "Huh. Guess I'm still here." "Yes," she said. "You are." Their bond changed too. It was no longer defined by fear of separation. The galaxy now recognized it as legitimate, protected, rare, but not forbidden. Bye. Lyris's secondary heart no longer activated sharply at his presence. It rested, steady, healthy. "Does that mean I'm less important now?" Elias asked once, half joking. "No," she said. "It means you are no longer the only anchor. You helped me learn how to balance myself." That answer surprised him. "I thought I was holding you together," he admitted. "You were," she replied, "until you taught me how to do it myself. That, more than anything, became humanity's legacy. Not dependence, but resilience through connection." Months passed. The phrase human proximity effect faded from official use. It was replaced with something simpler: human companionship. Across the galaxy, training programs changed. Emotional awareness became a subject of study. Some species adopted limited emotional expression for the first time in their histories, not because humans forced them to, because they saw it work. There were still voices of fear, there always would be, but fear no longer spoke alone. One quiet cycle, Elias received a message from the cooperative, a request, not an order. A distant station was struggling. A species on the edge of collapse after centuries of isolation had reached out. They asked for humans. Elias read the message twice. "You don't have to go," Lyris said. "I know," he replied. He sat with the choice for a long time. Then he nodded. "I think I want to." She stepped closer. "Then I will support you. You don't have to come," he said. "I know," she replied, "but I want to." The station they traveled to was old, quiet, heavy with silence. The beings there did not trust easily. They watched Elias and Lyris from a distance at first. No miracles happened. No sudden calm, just small moments. Listening, sitting, being present. And slowly, the silence began to lift. One of the elders asked Elias a question near the end of their stay. "Why does your kind do this?" the elder asked. "You gain nothing." Elias thought about it. Then he said, "We gain each other." The elder considered that for a long time. When Elias and Lyris returned home, the apartment felt exactly the same, and completely different. They had changed. So had the galaxy. Lyris stood by the window again, her reflection overlapping the stars. "My people once believed the strongest heart was the one that never reacted," she said. "Now I know better." "What do you believe now?" Elias asked. "That strength is not silence," she replied. "It is the ability to remain open and survive anyway." Elias smiled. That sounds very human." "Yes," she said, "it does. The galaxy never wrote songs about humanity's greatest weapons. There were none. Instead, stories spread quietly. Of humans who stayed when leaving would have been easier. Of humans who listened instead of commanding. Of humans whose presence made survival feel possible. Humanity did not conquer the stars. It did something far more dangerous. It connected them. And once that happened, nothing could ever return to the way it was before. In the quiet apartment, far from council chambers and fear-driven debates, Elias and Lyris stood side by side, watching the endless dark filled with light. Her heart beat steadily. So did his. And in that shared rhythm, the galaxy found a new definition of strength. The end.